Well, welcome to another episode of Read This podcast. Today we're going to be talking about fasting. A lot of you that have been following me on social media know that I did a 5-day fast recently, and I've been talking about it ever since because some very unexpected things happened that were all good, all good things. So I was thinking I would make this podcast today to kind of talk about it a little bit and go in a little bit more in depth so that anyone that's curious about it, intrigued, thinking about doing it, will get more info, from this podcast to make a better decision. So here we go. Okay, so first of all, anytime I'm not feeling well, that is when I fast. And typically the longest fast I've ever done is maybe 38 hours or so, maybe 40, I don't know. But usually like 36 hours for me, if I have any type of cold or something going on that's bothering me, indigestion, phlegm, any, drainage from my sinuses, anything like bronchitis, anything like that, even if you're not feeling good from a stomach virus or something, I just stop eating. And I notice at 16 hours, things turn a corner. And then at 24 hours, it's all kind of the same. But usually by 36 hours, I feel like I've got a pretty good hold on whatever is happening. And then I just go back to my life. And to be honest with you, it's never been a problem to go 36 hours without eating. You don't need any coaching to go 36 hours without eating. It's a day and a half. I mean, it's not even a big deal. 24 hours is you don't have to plan anything. You don't plan shit. Just fucking do it, Because a lot of people are always asking me, oh, what did you eat? What did you drink? And, and I just struggle and this and that. And it's okay, those are good questions. And this is what I want to talk about because first of all, I said that I fast because it makes me feel better. And I honestly think that this is some type of lost wisdom, it's, our bodies are amazing. And our bodies were created to be amazing. And think about it. How many times have you been not feeling well? And, if you eat something, it's like chicken noodle soup or crackers and, ginger ale or whatever. Just those are the easiest things to eat. So you should eat nothing. But really, the salt from the crackers is ideal. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So, fasting makes you feel good. It's crazy, especially in a day like today when there's so many chemicals in our foods and so many chemicals in our soaps, shampoos, lotions. I mean, everywhere, every turn. And then even, the drugs that we're given, most of them are made from petroleum. So they all have side effects. I think they're all made from petroleum, actually. And isn't that a quinky-dink? It's we only have drugs made from petroleum. I wonder why. And that goes into the whole Rockefeller, monopoly on education, on medicine. And it's got such a tight grip on this country that, doctors are taught one thing. And that is, these, synthetic drugs and compounds, they're great for fixing this, but it might have, 37 bad side effects, but this one thing, it'll improve by 50%, and it's so that's where we are. So before we get too far out, let's come back here. Okay. So if you're going to fast, just know that it's going to increase your health. That's the whole point of fasting. I'm not talking about intermittent fasting. I'm talking about fasting. That means, to me, fasting means 24 hours or more. Other than that, you're just trying to do some diet, and you got to just study nutrition. Read the Supernatural Lifestyle, and you'll be dialed in. But there is some benefit to eating once a day for a lot of people, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But that's the thing about fasting. See, when you guys right now you're thinking like, wow, it's crazy, like, why did he do it? Or, you're thinking about doing it. And a lot of people, I think, are so intrigued because I did it, because obviously I'm a bodybuilder. Obviously I'm all about keeping as much, muscle mass as possible and staying in shape and doing things like that. So why would I fast? Well, to feel better, I wasn't feeling well. And so that's why I went into the fast like I did. The next day, I was actually feeling worse the next day. So whatever I was going through, it was really hitting hard. But I'm the kind of person where I'm like, you don't fucking stop me. You don't stop me from doing what I got to do. And so I was literally like dizzy and, feeling like shit, had a fever and all these things. And I jumped on my stair mill for 30 minutes and thought, I'll sweat this thing out, kind of like, I'll show you sort of thing. And, cause I don't ever like to feel like I can't do something, and it's funny because I was really going through it for a couple days because, usually it takes 8 minutes for me to start sweating on my stair mill, 8 to 10. And this time it took me 19 and a half minutes to start sweating. And I went for the full 30. And then I jumped in my hot tub because I wanted to see, like, yeah, maybe we'll go this route, And my hot tub didn't even feel hot. It's 104 degrees. So at this time, this moment, I was like, all right, not well. It's okay. We'll go another day, no eating. So this was the first, after the first 36 hours, I'm like, well, we'll go another day. So now this is the first time that I was actually peeking into, doing a 2-day fast or a 3-day fast. And honestly, I was just going to do it till I felt better. Because anytime you're not feeling better, you will get well dramatically faster by fasting. Dramatically. And I'm talking like you don't need to take medicine. Like you don't need medicine. So I went into it. So I did most of the work, everything I had to do, here at the house. And that was the first day, So I basically started on Tuesday after the gym. And then didn't eat again until Monday after the gym, Monday night. So then I went all day Wednesday, and then Thursday I woke up feeling quite a bit better, but still not quite there. So I thought, you know what, I'll just keep it going. So I noticed that my hunger would still come and go on the third day. And that's what everybody wants to know. Like, how did you do it? Well, here's the thing. So like, you're going to be hungry the first day. The hunger comes and goes, first 24 hours. And then in the second 24 hours, in the 48, you're still going to be hungry. And your energy is going to kind of start to tank a little bit, and your body goes through autophagy at 16 hours and then it ramps up at 24. And which that means it starts, cleaning itself up. It's eating all the bad stuff in your body and trying to get energy out of it and clean it out. So it's awesome. So your body's burning through like bacteria, pathogens, mutated cells, you name it. Like maybe even viruses, because there's been a lot of studies saying that there's been a turnaround with viruses, and I'm going to get to that too. So that's what's going on. And so, but then there's also a depletion of glycogen. So your body starts to deplete glycogen, and this is, your body will store sugar as sugar binded to water in your muscle cells. I talk about this in the Supernatural Lifestyle all the time about, increasing insulin sensitivity. So your body is better at this, and we know now that having more muscle mass is the key indicator of what will keep a lot of people from having diabetes. So there's a lot of girls that are skinny fat and are pre-diabetic, and it's because they don't have any muscle and they don't train and they don't exert themselves. So when your body exerts itself doing any type of anaerobic activity, which means, a burst of strength for a short period of time, like lifting weights, sprints, playing football, and that doesn't mean soccer. Those things are explosive, and then you stop. And so what happens is your body will use ATP to contract all these muscles. And then after you run out of ATP, your body starts looking to sugar stores to make more ATP. So take a sugar molecule and it'll break it up and you get more ATP and your muscles can keep contracting. Okay. So this drives your blood sugar down. So if this never occurs, well, then now you're just forced to have your liver metabolize all the sugar that's coming through there. And if it can't do that, usually it can't do that. And so it doesn't get any help from the cells saying, we'll take more sugar. And so then your body's going to be storing a lot of fat because of sugar. So your body will attach a glycerol molecule to it and makes it glyceride. So that's where you get triglycerides. So when you're going through this after, 2 days of not eating, your glycogen stores have dropped and they're clearing out. By the third day, your glycogen stores are gone, especially if you're doing anything active. Like I was doing 30 minutes of cardio each day, not feeling great. So I didn't go to the gym, but I want to do something active. So, there's that, and that drives your glycogen down even more. But then a really cool thing happens, like the third day, your body starts to really efficiently ramp up oxidizing fat. Yeah. So your body starts to oxidize fat. So you basically go from your metabolism is running 95% on carbohydrates, maybe 100%. And then, almost no fat. And then it switches. And then your body starts running on like 95% carbohydrates. But then there's a process called gluconeogenesis that will, get sugar, glycogen out of fats, and they'll do that by breaking up those triglycerides and things like that. So there's a little bit, that you're going to get, and that'll keep your mental function going. That'll keep your blood sugar right, all these different things. And so, that's a really fascinating thing, but then your body gets better and better at oxidizing fat. And so, the third day, you're going to have a little bit of a hunger. It's going to come and go. But the third day, I suggest having salt 3 times a day with your water 3 times a day. Because, salt is this element that is amazing. It's an electrolyte, but it has sodium in it. And that's your main electrolyte for muscle firing. And so because it's your main electrolyte for muscle firing, this is going to give you strength. So when people talk about being weak on a fast and things like that, I'm like, eat salt. I have my product Electro Boost, and, this isn't a plug to, try to sell my products or whatnot. But I was taking, 3 of those pills 3 times a day with 16 ounces of water. I started that on the third day. I didn't do it right away. I let my body deplete itself for 2 days. I let it just do its thing. All I was drinking was water and a little bit of black coffee, nothing in it, So the third day, your body now is ramping up, this beta oxidation metabolic pathway. The process of gluconeogenesis is going on. And so your body's really starting to get energy in different ways. Body's releasing ketones, and ketones have a way of acting like carbohydrates and doing some things. So your body starts going through this cool transformation, right? And a lot of this is similar to the keto diet, okay? Similar, not the same. So because you're not eating anything. And so your body's just looking for energy wherever. And so then, you're going to have some hunger and whatnot, but I recommend doing the sodium 3 times a day with the water. And then also magnesium. It's another electrolyte. I like to have that before bed. That helps me sleep anyway. Okay. Like magnesium helps me sleep. Most people have a magnesium deficiency, just the way things are. People don't get enough. Me personally, I take like 1,000, 1,200 milligrams a night. That's kind of where I hang, and it does the trick for me. And I like magnesium glycinate. They say 3 and 8 is good. I haven't taken that one, but I believe it's magnesium citrate that will send you to the bathroom if you eat too much. So if you have constipation issues, that's a good one for that. But I roll with magnesium glycinate at night. And so I recommend taking that, okay? Now, also, you don't want to be taking your fish oils and things like that just because there's a little bit of calories in there. You want no calories, okay? Salt is an element. There's no calories in salt. Magnesium the same way. So, don't worry. You guys are going to be fine. The electrolytes are going to give you everything you need. But like all these other things that you guys are worried about taking and whatnot, just stop, okay? We're gonna do this for 5 days, and then you're back on. So you get through your third day, wake up on your fourth day, something very amazing happens. Like you'll notice that on the third day, you start having all this mental clarity. Like you start feeling calm, and you start feeling like you can just think easily. And for me, I started having different ideas that started popping into my mind. And I started thinking to myself, like, you know, in this country, we demonize salt. But, you know, I had a friend of mine tell me, you know, I was having some like mucus and stuff, you know, draining from my nose, and my ears are hurting a little bit, and all kind of shit going on. I feel like crap, you know. And he was like, hey man, he was like, I had a doctor tell me one time that if you, you know, snort saline, you know, salt water basically, it will help, you know, rid all of that stuff out of your sinuses, and it'll kill all that stuff and wash it out. And it's no fun, but you know what? I tried it and I did it, and it worked right away. Like salt water, folks. Like so many people are taking like Sudafed and Allegra and all these different things. And like, if you would just snort salt water, sounds crazy, but it's not. All you got to do, for me personally, I just mix some up and I put it in an eyedropper, you know, and then I would just tilt my head back and then, you know, do the deal. And, you know, it'd run down the back of my throat and burn just a little bit. But like, as soon as you spit it out, like I felt a level of instant relief. I'm not saying I was cured right away, but a level of instant relief to where I was like, whoa, that worked. And then I would do it like, you know, every 4 hours. And, you know, and it's amazing. Salt is amazing. Like salt water, like salt is amazing. Like just get that in your head, okay? You know, the American Heart Association says you're supposed to have 2,300 milligrams of sodium maximum in your diet. It's a bold-faced lie. It's a bold-faced lie. Most people should have at least 5,000-6,000 milligrams of sodium a day. There were studies done on it. They said as much as 9,000. Everybody did 9,000 grams of sodium or milligrams of sodium had better blood pressure than people at 6 or 23. So I did a whole video on that. You guys can go back and look for that. But so then I started thinking about different things, and I start thinking, like, I start having all these ideas pop into my head, and I start thinking, like, you know, why do we put so many chemicals in our body? Like think about it. Like, you take deodorant, for instance, and I was thinking to myself, like, here in America, we will do anything to dodge a calorie, but we want foods to taste the same and be sweet and all this stuff. And I used to make a joke and say, you know, antifreeze will sweeten up your oatmeal, but, you know, I wouldn't eat it just to try to dodge a couple calories. It's poison. Well, it turns out, you know, antifreeze is made of 2 ingredients, typically, ethylene glycol or propylene glycol. One is incredibly toxic. It's one that kills animals and whatnot if they eat it. And the other one is less toxic. And, you know, and they say it's not that bad, and they say all these different things, but they say a lot of shit. And they push a lot of things under the rug for different reasons. And here's the deal. It's in Old Spice deodorant, and I stopped using it. I sat there and thought to myself, I'm like, let me look around for this chemical and see if it's in food, because I figure here in America, we'd probably put it in food. Well, I mean, I was looking, it is in some different foods. They use it in different things for like breads and emulsifying liquids and mixing things, and it's ridiculous. And it's a chemical, you know? So then I realized it was an Old Spice deodorant, and I'm like, whoa, propylene glycol, it's right there. Well, then I started looking around, and I start finding that, you know, there's all these companies on, you know, the internet, like on Amazon and stuff, selling, you know, natural, you know, soaps, shampoos, deodorants, things like that. No parabens, no propylene glycol. You know, what else? They named off all these, there's all these different things that are selling. I'm like, holy shit. And so then I'm like, man. And so then I like, let me look into this a little more, because here in America, we can't trust the FDA, you know, like don't trust the FDA. If you see something that says FDA regulated or approved, that don't mean shit. I mean, that literally means nothing. That's literally, like, you saw like all those fat pieces of shit that fucking work up there in charge of the health department and things like that, you know, for years. Like, these people are the people trying to tell you like that steak is bad and eggs are bad and butter is bad, which are things that we've eaten for like hundreds of years and been fine, and now they're trying to say like, oh yeah, you want to be vegetarian or vegan and eat soy and, seed oils and all this shit. And don't worry that, Monsanto, is poisoning all the crops and using GMO food that can handle more poison. And, even though they're responsible for making Agent Orange during, Vietnam War, they're a company we should trust, even though they're good at making bioweapons, and it's like, you got all this shit, and then, these same people are trying to tell you how to eat. The food pyramid was a bold-faced lie. I mean, like, it's crazy that was fed to people, So, I get a little worked up about it because at the end of the day, we've put all of this responsibility on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s shoulders, and he's one guy. And I like that he's trying, the woman, the food babe that teamed up with some people, including him and a guy named Jason Karp, I know personally, that owns Hugh Chocolate. They got together and, attacked Kellogg's, and for good reason, saying like, why are you using petroleum, food colorings, petroleum, everything in American foods, but you send the good stuff overseas? Like, if you guys don't know about that, you gotta look into it. Like, it literally, the only way to make sense of it is one of two things. Either the people in charge are evil and they fucking hate you, or the people in charge have been compromised because they've been paid by these bigger companies to just drive profits, and your health has never been a concern. Those are the only two things, because if I was running the show, and I would be happy to do it, I would just say like, nope, none of this, none of that, none of this. You're done. No, you can't make this product. No, you can't make it like that. We need more testing. Like, the Food and Drug Administration should be literally like rival football teams. They should hate each other. Food Administration should say, we can fix you with foods. You don't need those drugs. And the Drug Administration should say, hey, we have like 10 years of studying and funding and everything. We can prove this drug is actually really good. 90% of the time it does well. That ain't the case. So before I keep going, I digress. We got to come back here. But, at the end of the day, propylene glycol, which is antifreeze, is in everything. Well, guess what else it's in? For all you people out there that vape, I don't care if you're vaping cigarettes, you're vaping marijuana, you're vaping CBD. That's typically the main ingredient. I can't speak for all the CBD manufacturers and all the marijuana manufacturers, because believe it or not, a lot of these people actually care about your fucking health. It's so funny. It's like the drug that's so demonized is the one where people give the most shit about you and try to keep it as clean as possible and do things the best way possible. And there's all these benefits. But then, it's like everything that's been legal forever, like tobacco and stuff, which they're finding out that nicotine is actually really good for you, There's a doctor in France that figured out that nicotine prevented a lot of patients from getting long COVID. So I didn't say it, he did. And, there's also a lot of different viruses that nicotine is really good for. The problem with cigarettes, vaping, and all that is there's all these different pyrazines and chemicals that are allowed to be put in there that are addictive and that enhance things and whatnot. And so, if you don't think so, go take a nicotine patch. You can take a 21 milligram nicotine patch, put it on you every day for a week, 2 weeks, and stop doing it. You won't feel any different. It's not addictive. Nicotine's not addictive. You know what I mean? It's just the stuff around it. And so, but guess what? Propylene glycol is in the vapes. It's the main liquid in vapes. And guess what happens when you heat it up and burn it, which is what you have to do when you smoke it? Turns into formaldehyde. Yep, it's a toxic chemical. That's what you're smoking. In case you're wondering. Right? It just keeps getting worse and worse the more you hear about stuff. And so, I just start thinking to myself, like, man, we just got to come back to the basics and stuff, and it's like, imagine if somebody came out here and was like, hey, do you want to find a way to have perfect health? You're going to have to stop eating for 5 to 7 days. And you're going to drink water and eat salt. Like, mind blown, right? It's mind blowing because, we're just taught the wrong things. Like, what is it? Titanium dioxide that's in toothpaste, and that's what wears down the enamel of your teeth, which causes cavities. Think about that. You got Crest and Colgate out here pumping, brush your teeth, fight cavities, and it's causing cavities. Like, dude, what kind of upside down fucking clown world do we live in where all the things that we're trying to do that we believe that the trusted professionals are telling us is right are actually hurting us? Like, what kind of world do we live in when this is happening? So when I was fasting, all these things happened. But, for me, on the third day with the clarity that I was getting and the calmness I was getting, I was reading my Bible and, I was praying a whole lot, and I was, starting to feel connected. On the fourth day, now the fourth day, when we get to the fourth day, like, my energy took off. Like, my energy picked up. And I felt great on the fourth day. And I was like, I'm going to the beach. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to the beach. So I was like, I'm going to go to the beach. So I went to the beach and hung out at the beach all day in the sun. Haven't had food in 4 days. Okay. And I'm just drinking my water and salt. Had an iced tea with no sugar, just a plain tea, and salt. And it felt amazing. But then I started feeling really connected. Like, I did a 3-day fast to social media, which I also recommend you do that with your regular fast. If you're doing this, I wish I did a 5-day social media fast, It was really nice to just unplug. And I feel like on that fourth day, like, everything that I really ever thought that was important, like 95% of that shit just felt like it went away. And everything I feel like I was taught about health, I feel like went out the window. Like, you don't need food every day. You don't need to eat every day. You don't. You don't. You want to, you like to, but that's the problem. And then I started thinking to myself, in America, I can't speak for everybody else in the world, but in America, we're like so dead set on overindulgences of the senses. We want sensory overload. Everything has to taste good. You got to feel good. You got to be excited. You need a dopamine hit. Girls nowadays, they can't just be pretty. They got to be hot. They got to have tits as big as your head and ass to match, and a tiny little waist and look like some cartoon shit. You know what I mean? And their lips pumped up and, you know what I mean? And then they wear like next to nothing when they go out. And it's like, there's just sensory overload. Like, sensory overload. Like that shit. None of that stuff matters. Like, it's like, I even thinking about myself, like being so big and so muscular and all these things and, in the path that I took. And I'm thinking like, at the end of the day, I just want to feel good. And a lot of the things that we do, we think will make us feel good. I was praying a whole lot and some things started happening in my life. And that's the thing is like, I recommend that you pray and you read your Bible. And, people can say what you want right now about whatever, but I'm a Christian and the Lord Jesus Christ, my personal Savior. Okay. And when I pray to him, he helps me every time. And sometimes the help I get is not the help I want. Sometimes I got to fall on my face and learn something, but there's always a lesson there when you keep your eyes on God. And I tell you what, there's something about when you fast. It's like, I said this all the time. Like I can't explain it to you until you do it yourself. Okay. But I just feel like God sees you better when you're fasting. Like you're just connected to him better. Like the spirit world, the side of things that we cannot see, but we feel, that we know are there. You're like tuned in, and there's a reason why Jesus went 40 days, 40 nights, no food to go talk to God. There's a reason why Moses went 40 days, 40 nights to go talk to God. You know, Isaiah did the same thing. I'm pretty sure Buddha and Muhammad did the same thing. There's really something to it. Like, I can't really describe it to you. I mean, I can try, and I'm trying, but you have to do it yourself. And it's amazing how the only way you're going to get to feel that is through discipline. Discipline. You know, I believe discipline is divine. You know, on my website, I say discipline is a superpower. And it is. And it has been my superpower for all of my success over the years. Changing my body, getting into movies, becoming a superhero, the whole thing. Just discipline. I want everybody to experience it. I really do. You know, I woke up the 5th day after everything started feeling awesome. I woke up the 5th day and I felt just as good. My mind was even clearer. I was calm. I was like, I'm going to the gym. It's like Monday, you know. So I was sticking to my schedule. So I go to the gym and I was like, let me see how strong I am. Let's see how strong I am. You know me. You gotta go lift some heavy shit. Well, my weight was down. I was down to 289 pounds. I lost like 22 pounds, 5 days. It's mostly water, but there's some fat that went too, you know. But I wanted to see where my strength was, see if I lost muscle, because what I've read is that your growth hormone ramps up like 1,000% day 3. And then day 4, your body starts releasing like all these stem cells. And I got a video of me talking after my workout, and like my skin, my face looked so good. I was like glowing. I literally had a couple people say that to me. Say, man, like, what are you doing? You just, your skin looks so good. And this guy was like, I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding gay, but man, like, you're glowing. Like, what is going on? And I said, dude, I just got done with a 5-day fast. And he looked at me like, no way. He's like, whoa, like no food? And I said, nothing, just salt and water. And so I went to my workout. I maxed out the lat pull down machine per usual. And then I did hammer strength rows. I did 5 plates, which maxed that out, and did a drop set. I video recorded it. And then I went over and did bent over rows, and I was doing 400-pound bent over rows for reps. Recorded that. And then I finished with 500-pound deadlifts for reps. Now, normally I do my deadlifts first, but I was wanting to just make this whole workout, this whole thing. I wanted to test myself, you know. So I put it at the end, and I still was able to do, I think, 3 or 4 reps with 500 pounds at the end of my workout when I was feeling depleted. But here's the funny thing. So then I get done working out. I leave. I still haven't eaten. I wasn't even hungry. I wasn't even fucking hungry. Dude, it was wild. I get home and I'm like an hour later I was supposed to eat because then it was 120 hours. 5 days. I waited. I'm like, maybe I should eat tomorrow. Maybe I should keep going. Because I'm not hungry. Like I'm legit not hungry. Like there's no part of me that was like, oh, I'm so hungry. Like it wasn't there. But this is a funny thing. Now, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe it was a coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences anymore in my life at this stage. But I've been trying to grow this pineapple in my yard for like 4 years. And you know, it takes like 3 to 4 years to grow a pineapple. I didn't know that. I thought that it was never going to grow. I was like, I just got this plant out there. Yeah, I tell people that's a pineapple plant, you know? And they would always say, oh, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know when the pineapple comes, but I didn't Google it or find out ahead of time. For some reason, I thought it'd happen sooner than later. But, at this time, there was a pineapple there, and I thought, I think it's ready. And, when you grow a pineapple in your yard, they turn yellow. If you go to the grocery store, they're all green. I don't know what they're putting on them, what they're doing with the green. But mine was yellow, like like you'd think, yellow, And so I thought, I want to eat this thing when it's like as ripe as possible. And that just happened to be on the 5th day. And so I didn't want to eat that right away because I wanted to eat some fats and see how I felt from just eating fats. And the funny thing is, so at 122 hours, I ate 8 eggs cooked in butter and salt and pepper, and that was good. And then that triggered my appetite. And then right after that, I ate 8 more. I was like, okay, that's normally how I eat, And then a few hours later, I ate that pineapple. I cut it up and ate the pineapple. And the funny thing about the pineapple is it's like anti-parasitic, and it's really good it's a digestive enzyme. So this is also really good for if you haven't been eating for a while, like your stomach's kind of taking a break, for 5 days. This is probably a really good thing to eat. And I just feel like, is it a coincidence or is it? But I ate the whole thing, and it tasted amazing. It was the most amazing thing maybe I have ever eaten. The sweet was so sweet, but just right. And it was wet, and it was just good. So I ate that. But here's the thing. I had some issues with prostatitis off and on. And so it made me dig in to start figuring out what causes it and how to fix it. Well, there's very little information on it. Western medicine will throw antibiotics at you, but that won't do it. And after my 5-day fast and everything I did, completely went away. And, I have my prostate support product that if you have a DHT issue converting, where your DHT is too high, that'll cause you to lose your hair and have a problem with your prostate. And that typically is most men. That's typically will fix it, But chronic prostatitis is a little different. It's actually a lot different. But if you're having, those DHT issues, that prostate support works really well. In the past, it always worked really well for me, but this is a different issue, I even read somewhere that there is a parasite that can invade your prostate. I had it written down right here. I thought I did. Maybe not. But I looked it up, and there's and I'm going to do another video about it, but there is a prostate that can invade, and I was just wondering if, number one, fasting will kill all kind of stuff. And then also, pineapple will kill all kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, and the other thing that I did was I took fenbendazole and ivermectin on day 3 and day 4. Forgot about that. I put that in there. Just because, I got a friend of mine that since I've done this, he did a fast, and he did a 5-day fast. And for 5 days, he took fenbendazole and ivermectin just to clear out any parasites or anything, get a fresh start. And this dude lost weight. I mean, he was already in good shape, wasn't in bad shape. And he lost weight, and he's just talking differently. And he's like, I see food differently and all these things. And so I'm just sharing these different things with you because, I never planned on fasting like this and being somebody that would fast. It's crazy. But here we are. And I did it, and I can't stop talking about it because I believe it'll fix so many problems. Like I watched a video somewhere, and it was talking about how if you fast for 5 to 7 days at any time, like in your 30s or 40s, it will put off the chance of you getting any kind of cancer, some ridiculous amount, like 70, 80, 90% or something. And I believe it because your body We have so many poisons and processed foods and things we shouldn't eat that we're doing and stuff. When you let your body just clean itself up and you do it when you don't have an issue, like your health is going to go through the roof. And so I'm putting together, I'm almost finished with it. It's called, I have a program that's going to teach you all how to fast. It's called Super Fast 30. Okay. And it's a 30-day program. And basically, I tell you what to expect with a 5-day fast. And then, so you know what you're in for and what to expect. And then from there, I lay out a protocol for you to follow so you can develop good habits and discipline with food. And then, eventually roll right into the supernatural lifestyle. And so the way that I have it put together, it'll change your life, like forever. Because like my life changed, and I'm disciplined, and I'm me, and I've been doing this, and I want you to feel the same way. And so this program's coming out. It's going to be great. I'm going to put it all together and everything you need for it, so you can get the most out of the fast, and learn from my experience. But I'm telling you right now, for all of you men out there that have never done it before, you have to do this, because you need to understand that you are in control of you. Your mind is in control of your body. And you don't have to be a 6'7", 315-pound bodybuilder to fast. I've written programs for people in all different types of ways, and people are always like kind of get tuned out a lot because of my size, and obviously I'm not natural, I take tests. And so people will say that, but guess what? Anyone can fast. This isn't about that. It's not about any of those things. And the fact that I did it and I can talk about like how beneficial it was, like I wouldn't do it if it wasn't incredibly beneficial. You see what I mean? And so I'm just sharing all this with you guys because I want to explore this more. The next time I fast, I'm going to do 7 days. And I know it won't be a problem because 5 days, like I told you, I didn't even want to eat after I came home from the gym. So anyway, next one's going to be 7. But I want to help you all get on track. And I have been having so many people reach out to me, and I've been talking about it, quite a bit nonstop. And I have a lot of friends that did 5 days, 7 days, 3 days, everybody's doing it, And so I'm going to give you the tools so you have this put together and you can look at it and then you can do it. And I'm going to give you the pro tips on what to do. Because some people say, oh, well, I was dizzy when I did it one time for 2 days, or I was this, or I was that. And, a lot of that is because of electrolytes. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And you're going to love it. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in with this podcast. I always enjoy your guys' feedback. If you have questions, shoot them out, and you can always catch me on Instagram. I respond there the most, but I have my stuff also on TikTok, on X, and Facebook. Stuff is out there. But that is it. So the next time you hear from me, I hope to hear from you that you tried fasting yourself and reaped all the benefits. So there it is. Eat right, train hard, stay focused. Don't be a sissy.